Hey guys, in a previous video talking about COVID in Japan, I made the prediction that it could be the end of the year or next year before some of us get our vaccinations. So it won't be the first time or the last time that I was wrong about something. You never really know what's going to happen in Japan. Sometimes you're disappointed by what happens and other times you're pleasantly surprised. This is a pleasantly surprised one. So what happened was, at first Japan vaccinated the over 65s, and then they told us that on the 16th of July they'd be sending out cards to people under 65 so that they could go get their vaccinations. And the system is that the Japanese government sends out the cards to the people individually, and then the people have to contact their local prefect, their local city or town government, and then they organise the vaccine. So we've heard all sorts of stories that the people in the town over from us, the only way they could book a vaccination was to phone a telephone number, which was terribly undemand apparently, and people were spending day after day, all day, redialing their phone number and getting engaged signals. One of our martial arts teachers estimated he must have called at least 100 times before he finally got through, and then they had to book to go to some place somewhere else. We also know the over 65s in our town, some of them were going to community centres to get help making the booking to then go somewhere else another day to get their shot. So we'd heard about what a drama it was being for lots of people and how it was taking forever and they had to go really far away to get their shots and all sorts of horror stories. So we assumed it would be the same for all of us. So we heard that from the 16th of July we'd be getting these cards sent out and that we could book through our city or town city hall to go get our shots. So fair enough, 17th of July came and the card actually turned up. So we opened up the envelope and there was about seven pages of forms and information, which we weren't surprised at all. You know, there's always lots of paper here with everything. Here we go. So started to fill out the forms, and then it said on there, you can phone this number to make a booking or you can book online. Yeah, all right, let's have a go at that. So we got onto the website and it said enter your number that's on your card and enter your date of birth as your password. So I did that, okay, logged on. And then it said, now enter your email address. Yeah, okay. Now we'll send you an email and you've got to respond to the email, you know, click the link on the email, the usual thing when you register on a site. So yeah, did that. And then fill out the form, the online form. And it was quite substantial, you know, here we go. So you sort of learn to be skeptical when you live in Japan about things like this, and to expect them, as explained in previous videos, expect there to be a considerable amount of faffing and frustration involved. And it's like, yeah, here we go. Faffing. So filled out a page, and then it said, do you want to go to the city vaccination point, or do you want to choose where you go? So let's have a look at this. So I clicked the choose where we go button, and then it said, what clinic do you want to go to? Oh, that's interesting. All right. So we entered the name of our clinic that we always go to with our doctor, which is about 3 or 4 minutes from our house. So we entered the name of that clinic, and up it came. And then it offered a schedule, and it said, when do you want your vaccination? So that was the 17th. That was the 17th of July, and so the earliest date that was available that worked in with my work schedule was 27th of July, 10 days later. So okay, filled out that, booked that, okay, booked it for 11:30 in the morning, and then it said, when do you want your second vaccination? So you're supposed to have it 3 weeks later. So click the schedule for 3 weeks and 1 day later, and it booked that. 18th of August, I think it was. Done, finished. And then an email came confirming the booking. So I was wrong. I was pleasantly surprised because really expected it would go on and take forever and before we finally got it done. So pleasantly surprised that it was so easy and organised, and the first shot's done. The first shot. So I turned up at the doctor's surgery, and that wasn't too bad either. Just handed the forms and go sit over there, and then went in, and really nice doctor. But the thing that you guys would probably notice is 3 nurses. So it's really common here when you talk to a doctor here that there'll be 2 or 3 nurses just standing there, and sort of assisting. The doctor doesn't do much. The doctor sort of asked a couple of questions about allergies and things that I'd already answered on the form, and then a bit of an explanation about what sort of side effects I could expect from the first shot, and then what side effects from the second shot. And then the nurses pretty much do everything, or one of the nurses pretty much did everything, sort of did the injection and everything, and the other 2 nurses just stand there. And it always seems to be the case that most of the doctors here always seem to have at least 2 nurses just standing there, and in this case there was just 3 nurses just standing there, and one actually did the shot, and the other 2 are just standing there for no apparent reason. And then, you know, we were finished and off we went. And it's really pleasant, by the way. They're very professional and efficient and everything. It's just how many people are standing around is always a surprise, you know. And then went and waited in the waiting room for 15 minutes just to make sure I didn't die. And then the next person went in, and again 3 nurses just standing there, and one gives the shot. The doctor basically just sort of instructs. That's usually what they do. The doctor says take a blood test, take his in normal circumstances, you know, take the patient's blood pressure and do this and do this and do this. And usually the doctors don't even touch you unless there's some pain or something and they need to check for something. But more often than not, they don't even touch you. They just sit behind a desk usually and just give instructions to the nurses. So it's just the way it works. So it's good. Look, I mean, I know there's different people that have different thinking about the vaccinations. That's fine. Everybody has a right to have their own opinion. As far as we're concerned, everybody has a right to either get the vaccination or not. That's up to them. As far as our lives, it's not going to really make any difference to anything that we can or can't do. We still have to, you know, you're still expected to wear masks when you go to restaurants and public places. It's not going to affect what we can and can't do. There's been no rules or laws in place in Japan at all through all this to stop us doing anything. So we've had pretty much good freedom of movement. It's not going to help us with our jobs and our income at all. That's still crap, unfortunately. One of our main sources of income is our English-friendly directory, and because a lot of the businesses in places like Tokyo, well, a lot of the businesses in Tokyo, the restaurants and the bars that advertise on the English-friendly directory have stopped trading because of the current state of emergency. So, you know, a lot of them have just closed until further notice. And so, you know, obviously they're not in a position to be able to pay any money at the moment. So as far as our income and as far as our financial stresses and so on, it's not going to affect that at all. Unfortunately, we still got a corkboard covered in bills. Just a quick plug, our patrons and our PayPal supporters, thank you guys. Without you, we'd be screwed. We'd be more deeply screwed. But interestingly, those of you who have already had your shots and who have the same sort of thinking about the vaccine as what we do, both of us, my wife and I, both felt a sense of relief because she booked hers after I booked mine. She booked hers too, and it was interesting. We both said that we felt a real sense of relief just having booked the vaccine, because the vaccination, because just because there's some sort of light at the end of the tunnel. You know, the last 18 months has gone on forever, hasn't it? You know, and that feeling that, oh, you know, when's it going to end? And I mean, it doesn't mean it's ended. It just means that ambient stress level that you have, always worried about catching it, always worried about catching it and giving it to other people, you know, all that sort of stress, at least that's reduced, because, you know, I calculated that my chances of catching COVID in Japan was 1 in 400,000. But I just got the Pfizer vaccine, so if that's 90% accurate like it's supposed to be, 90% effective like it's supposed to be, that should mean that my chances of now catching COVID in Japan at the moment will be 1 in 4 million. Which, you know, and as far, you know, if you accept the science and the scientific point of view and everything else, then that's the case, right? Which means that the ambient stress level as for worrying about catching it or worrying about catching it and giving it to other people, that stress has gone down. So the other stresses, the financial stresses and the other stresses and the hassles to do with COVID obviously continue, and obviously there are still people dying, and it's still a pandemic and a world problem. But personally, it just means that the stress level's down a little bit, you know, which is a really, really good thing. So anyway, that was that. So back in 3 weeks' time for the second one, and that should be a load off anyway, and we'll continue. Hopefully next year, our lives for all of us will be a bit more normal than what they have been recently. So anyway, that was that. Thanks again for your support, guys, you patrons and PayPal people. Thank you very much for your support. More videos coming soon.